And welcome back to the Hotline. We are talking Lewis Hamilton day one at Ferrari, the 1st of January 2025. Yes, Lewis Hamilton is now officially a Ferrari driver. So let's check it out. Fred Vasseur delivers a day one message to Ferrari crew as Lewis Hamilton very much arrives. And he's basically given the Ferrari workforce just the one day for the excitement over the rival of arguably the best driver in the world, statistically the best driver in the world. Is he still the best driver? That one is up for debate. Certainly at his peak. Is he still at his peak? Again, up for debate, but I can't wait. I think when you look at the races, he is still one of the best. But he says they've given him one day to celebrate the arrival for Lewis Hamilton for 2025, then they must turn this page, and that's according to the team principal Fred Vasseur. So after almost a year, pretty much a year, well, we kind of like 10 months, let's say, of knowing that Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes for Ferrari, which is realising a childhood dream of actually many Formula One drivers. Also, Ayrton Senna always wanted to race for the Scuderia. 1st of January is finally here. So the most successful F1 driver linking up with an iconic and arguably statistically the most successful Formula One team. I think Ferrari has sparked widespread excitement in the world of Formula One. If you remember the biggest story of 2024. Now, Vasseur told Sky F1, everybody all over the world is excited for sure. The mechanics are also excited. But because it's always exciting to have someone who is a 7-time champion in the car. Michael Schumacher as well. He said, but I think after day one, we'll have to turn this page and to be focused on the job. And when it comes to controlling this excitement, that also applies to Hamilton. He's expected to receive some, they call it Ferrari TPC. Basically, he's allowed to test previous cars that are a couple of years old. I think the 2022 car, before obviously the Formula One Ferrari F1 2025 Challenger launches on the 19th of February. Put that to him, it was going to be emotional for Hamilton to drive that F1 car for the first time. He said, yes, it's true, it's been quite emotional because I think he has this moment in his mind for probably 20 years. He then joked it means that it will be emotional, but it has to be a motor. He's giving his team one day, he's given Hamilton one lap, and then yep, it means it will be emotional, but it has to be emotional for one lap, and then we need to be focused. There we go. But Lewis Hamilton has received good news. Some people can say gift, but no. His arrival, the Formula One F1 Ferrari 2025 car passes the crash test as Hamilton arrives. Now, quite often, I don't know whether it was first time, second time, third time. If you remember, a lot of cars quite often fail the crash test because they're pushing too much. We don't know how many times the Ferraris tried to pass the crash test, but it's good in one way that they have passed it so early so they can basically sort the car out, make it even faster. Some people might turn around and go, oh no, they haven't taken enough risks and they made it too heavy maybe, which is why they passed the crash test. But I guess we'll have to see. So the British driver, as you know, Hamilton's going to turn 40 next week, is not expected to start with Ferrari until obviously later this month. And that Ferrari have traditionally held a so-called wake-up test at Ferrari in January, targeting again both the team and drivers up to speed behind the wheel of the previous car ahead of the official pre-season running in February. Now, despite enjoying the most successful seasons in F1 2024, falling just 14 points behind McLaren in the constructors team, Fred said the Project 677 though is going to be a completely new car, and it's emerged that Ferrari have reached a key milestone in their preparations for, I can't say next year now, it's this year, isn't it? This year, 2025. The car passing the mandatory FIA crash tests I still think it's quite early. A number of design details related to Project 677 have surfaced over the recent months, with the move to, and everyone criticised him for this last year, they finally moved to a pull rod front suspension layout for the first time since 2015, and that, they reckon, is the most significant to have emerged to date. They didn't have one last year, yet they still beat Red Bull in the constructors, but that, I think, was probably down to a certain Mexican driver. But a pull-rod front suspension, favoured by McLaren and Red Bull, is believed to enhance the airflow towards the car's complex underbody, which the floor generating a significant proportion. It's all about the floor since these 2022 regs. A significant proportion of the car's overall downforce is when you look at the floor and how complicated the floor is. So that's a massive up. But then, for what is Hamilton's to-do list? Well, Planet F1 have suggested that it's going to take 4 critical steps for Lewis Hamilton to make himself truly at home. They've got the first one, obviously, meet the Ferrari team and meet his side of the garage. That's going to include his race engineer. If you remember, his race engineer is absolutely key. He's like your brother or sister in arms on the track, and he had a fantastic relationship with Bono, Mr. Bonington. But Formula One is a sport of relationships, it said, and there's no relationship more critical than between its driver and race engineer. Furthermore, they're saying it helps forge bonds with everyone on your side of the gouge, and that's one thing, if you looked at our Michael Schumacher video the other day, that Schumacher is so good at. That's one thing. And even Ralph Schumacher came out, and I couldn't argue the point where Ralph was saying that Schumacher is so good at getting the team behind him. Michael, that was, and that's very true. As we know, Peter Bonington is long-time compatriot Mercedes, is not joining Ferrari. So embrace the Ferrari culture and pressure. I don't know about the pressure. I think they put too much pressure, I think, on themselves at Ferrari. But the team, Scuderia Ferrari, is unlike any racing sporting entity in the world, the article says. The roots go back to what is the pre-war era of Grand Prix racing, when motorsport was pretty much a national affair. The team's Rosso Corsa paint scheme correlates to the national colour of Italy's racing teams, red. As such, a success for Scuderia wasn't just for the team, it was a success for the nation. It's like the nation's Formula One team. Now, even though Grand Prix racing has become multinational over time, racing for Ferrari comes with heaps of additional pressure from the ultra dedicated tifosi, the fans, the media, the country of Italy at large. There's an expectation that you'll sacrifice your individual performance for the sake of the team. For a driver like Lewis, who's become a linchpin of the Mercedes team, before that it was very much McLaren, it could come as a shock. I don't think it will that much. The best way for Hamilton, though, they're saying, to truly weave himself into the team is to get familiar with the culture on an intimate level. He is supposedly learning Italian, which is quite interesting. Get used to the Ferrari steering wheel. Yeah, modern wheels are equipped with, as you know, a variety of buttons. I guess it's like a slightly more extreme example of moving to a new console controller or a new phone. Such is the amount of gadgets on these things. He's had a decade at Mercedes, and the steering wheel at Mercedes now at this point will be muscle memory. They don't differ that much. They're still a steering wheel. They still go left and right, but it's going to be the buttons and where they are that's going to be key. I'm sure that's fine. And get a taste of Ferrari machinery. So while the full details haven't been released to the public, we do know that he's going to have a private test booked in for January. This will allow Hamilton to get together that steering wheel, his race engineer, pretty much everything we said. The Scuderia's 2025 car, it has been codenamed Project 677, is going to be, will likely be much different from either the 22 or 23 machine that Hamilton will, at least, that it's going to go, but he's going to at least gain some confidence, get to know the engine. And last year, Ferrari had a similar session for Carlos Sainz Jr. and Charles Leclerc. Even though they were returning to the team, the goal was to shake off the cobwebs, which I think is good. Hamilton, however, will benefit by simply growing familiar with the act of driving a Ferrari after so many years with Mercedes and Mercedes-powered engines. So we wish Hamilton absolutely all the best. If you made it to the end, that is enough for us. But if you want to do a bit more, give us a subscribe. It does mean so much. Hit the notification button if you do not want to miss if you don't want to miss any of our videos. It absolutely means so much. The fact that you even clicked on this and listened to our video. And if you're listening to me waffling on now, you have made it to the end. So absolute full respect. Thank you very much. We'll speak to you soon. Happy New Year and stay safe.